I'm Ellie from Nourishment Redacted. So happy to welcome you to Lioness Lifestyle Live.
And I'm Cristie from Meeting Wellness. We are so excited to meet with you this evening, so thank you for joining us.
And I'm Haley from Meet Is Where It's At. Get those questions ready for our awesome guest by putting the QQQ or the 3 question marks in front of your question.
And that means it's time for this week's Roar of the Week. So we had Anna, our awesome guest, last week, and you guys knew I was going to do this because you know JT. Great job. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, I can't. I tried, JT. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
But shout out JT for this week's Roar of the Week.
All right. Well, without further ado, I think we should bring out our awesome guest.
Let's bring her out.
All right. Let's go. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome, Sada. We're so happy to have you on Lioness Lifestyle Live. We hope you're doing well.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. So thank you.
Absolutely. So we would love to start you off like we do with all of our guests. We would love to know your health journey so far. And we know you've done keto. We know you are doing carnivore. We'd love to know all those juicy details. Please fill us in. Let's get to know each other.
I've definitely dipped all over the place when it comes to every form of the proper human diet. So kind of just to make this a little bit short, because of course it's difficult when it comes to a 5-year journey on the proper human diet to kind of put it in a little bit of a nutshell. So I'm going to do the best that I can. But my journey first started off having to research for resolution because our son, our oldest son, he was 9 years old at the time. He started getting seizures. We could not get any help at all through any of the specialists that he was referred to. So as his number one advocate, being mother, the one that carried him for 9 months, I went directly to just searching on their internet to see what I can find that just had any and all information regarding seizures, possibly, what the seizures could be linked to, because I was completely at just a standstill. And the only thing that the doctors wanted to assist with was prescribing medication to him when there was not a true diagnosis of what was causing the seizures. So through my research, I did so much research, I can't even tell you. There was like sleepless nights because of the seizures he went through. I put in some hardcore hours researching to try to kind of find a remedy, a resolution. And I came across a lot of information about a ketogenic way of eating. There was a lot of information that came up, a lot of like ancient information from the 20s, 30s, and then onwards. And I'm thinking to myself, there has to be something to this, because I also started seeing a lot of the recent information that was still going on into the 2000s. So I said, there has to be something to this. If it's going from the 20s that this was around healing things for children, and now there's still information valid about it in the year of the 2000s, I said, let me look into this a little further. The more research I did, the more interested I was, because when it came down to it, it was just real food being mentioned. We ended up starting as a family January of 2019. We all went keto because I truly felt like if this was something we were going to do for our child, we were going to do it as a household. Because how am I going to tell my child, this is good for you and this is what you need to change and do, but you're going to be the only one in the household doing it? No, we took it on as a household. And that also included our son that was actually 2 years old at the time, that was still breastfeeding. His very first foods were ketogenic foods. I can definitely tell you within the first month, not another seizure did our son have. Me
Wow.
personally,
Wow.
it was huge for myself because in the first 15 months, I did not even exercise. I did not have the time to exercise because I also homeschool our children. I was also full-time college student at the time, full-time work from home at the time. I didn't have time to work out. So any activity I got with our children was the physical activity I got. But still, yeah, within the first 15 months of keto, I had lost 101 pounds myself. So it was huge for me as
Wow.
well. Um, and I am someone that had suffered from infertility. I had suffered from a lot of hormone issues where my menstrual cycle never came on time. Sometimes I wanted to skip, and I started getting a regular menstrual cycle. The only thing that kind of really did not resolve itself was the infertility. That still was still an issue throughout keto. Um, but then I would say come around the 3-year mark, I started having issues with keto. I started having IBS type of issues. I started getting certain pains and stuff like that. So I came across carnivore only because it is part of the proper human diet spectrum. There was still a lot of conversation about ketovore and carnivore. So I first went ketovore when I found out about carnivore. And I said, let me give it a try because still yet, it's eliminating a lot of like the keto type of foods out there and indulging in a lot of the keto recipes, but then it's still allowed for simplicity. Still yet, I was still having issues. Still yet, I still had the aches. Nothing was being resolved. And I did that for about almost 8 months. I was doing ketovore. Then I said, you know what? I need to try carnivore. I have to try it. I was fearful because a lot of the things that I saw when it came to carnivore was a little bit intimidating because it can come across very dogmatic if you allow it to. But for me, I said, you know what? I'm not going to have that be a concern. I'm going to dive in and I'm going to do it with simplicity. So starting January of 2023, I had started off with beef, butter, bacon, and egg. And I had to do it in an altered way because unfortunately myself, as well as our kids, were allergic to pig. So I had beef bacon, but I didn't have, any pig bacon. Um, but I did that. My plan was to do it for 30 days. I felt so amazing because the IBS was gone. I no longer had to be a prisoner in my own house. My husband no longer had to do video chats with me for him to have to grocery shop for us on his own. And I absolutely felt amazing. All the pains that I had, like I had a heel spur that was causing me limited mobility, that was gone within the 3rd week. I had no issues putting full pressure down on my feet. I felt amazing. So that 30 days turned into 60 days. After that 60 days, I wanted more of that feeling. So I continued on with carnivore because I did want to slowly reintroduce single ingredient seasonings. I did want to reintroduce seafood, chicken, just a lot more variety than what the triple B and E would offer. But I've been going ever since.
Wow. So that's awesome. I have so many questions. I'm not going to hog you, I promise. But I'm wondering, so when you said to yourself, I have to try carnivore, like how had you heard about carnivore? Was it through YouTube, like Dr. Barry, or how had you heard about, what was your introduction to that?
It was a lot of mentioning from Dr. Barry, because that was more so when a lot of his videos were more so starting to get geared
Hmm.
towards triple B and E, towards carnivore. So I did a lot of research just on his videos. But then there was a lot of books that I also read. So I know he's not all too famous in the community anymore, but still yet I still read Dr. Paul Saladino's book, um, Dr. Sean Baker. I followed Dr. Robert Kilt. So just a lot of books, a lot of just kind of researching on different websites, just to kind of get as much information I was able to get, but then also to personalize it to myself.
That's awesome. And then, so you said that your heel spur went away. Was that something you were expecting? And then also follow up to that, like what other benefits, like was there further weight loss or like were there any other benefits besides that that you noticed from going ketovore to carnivore?
Yes. So with the heel spur, I honestly feel like it didn't automatically heal it, but I think probably kind of just the alleviation of inflammation really was the big ticket when it came to kind of being at that 3-year mark, having complete relief. I do have to get it checked out again, kind of just like a year follow-up with the chiropractor, but I truly feel like it was a big factor as far as when it came to the heel spur, because I am telling you right now, I could not really go out anywhere because I would have to either resort to one of like the little shopping carts that you have to kind of motorize around the store, which for me, I would have felt, embarrassed to do because I truly felt like I would have been taking a resource from somebody that really truly needed it. Um, because otherwise I would have been hopping around the store. Because even around the house, I started actually getting pain to some of my toes because I had to tiptoe anywhere I went around the house because I could not put any pressure on my heels at all. But as far as pain and weight wise, resulting from the heel spur, I had hip pain because, of course, not properly walking around the house and tiptoeing around, you got a lot of pains from that because you're basically just hopping around. So I had hip pain that ended up going away. I had pain that was like radiating down my legs because of the heel spurs. That also within that first 30 days completely went away. Like I was in tears with happiness because I was so miserable. And, I shared on my channel as well because it starts to make you be in a dark place. You can easily get in a dark place and become very depressed because you kind of almost feel like living like that is no quality of life at all. So when I tell you that to have relief within the first 30 days was very emotional. It was very emotional just for having the 30 days and having just such success like that. It was huge. Throughout the time that I did have the issues, almost 3 years into keto, I did end up gaining 42 pounds out of that 101 pounds that I lost.
Okay.
But present date, so up until present date, I am up to 147-pound loss between the time that I did keto.
It's amazing.
And then doing carnivore. So carnivore was a huge help. It was huge leap for me to kind of get back on track with non-scale victories, having weight loss again, and having my body to truly be able to respond to it.
Wow,
I'm
that's
just
fantastic. Oh my goodness.
I'm just kind of curious about the timeline. So did you have the heel spur when you were doing keto? Was it brought on by obesity, or what do you think?
I think it was a combination of possibly whatever started irritating me 3 years into keto, and then of course gaining 42 pounds back out of the 101 pounds that I lost because it seemed to come very rapid. in comparison to when I was on the standard American diet. Standard American diet, I put on weight, but the weight at least, it was gradual amount of time that weight was coming on. But it seemed like when that 42 pounds came on, it came quick. It came
Okay.
quick. And I really think that's what really, between the combination of everything else my body was going through and then that additional 42 pounds coming back so quickly, I think that's really kind of what threw my body just physically. I think it really is what threw everything out of whack. But I have not, as of yet, like I can't really say what part of keto affected me. I'm thinking possibly it is some sort of veg, only because when I did do Ketovore for almost 8 months, I still had problems. I still didn't have any resolve of the pains or um, any of, weight loss continuing or anything like that. Everything still was at a standstill, even 8 months of Ketovore. So I gave it my best when it came to Ketovore. But after that 8 months, I was like, yeah, I can't anymore. I have to move on. Um, but I have not identified yet what exactly it might have been. And I'm fearful too, because I definitely don't want to, turn back the hands of time to what I went through before.
Yeah. I find that like when I'm eating more keto foods, I'm like a recovering binge eater. And
Mm.
so even if I'm full, I can't really control that part of my brain that's like, ooh, salsa, and like put more of that on my eggs or more of that on, like whatever it is. And for some reason, and then I eat more of the carnivore foods that are covered in the keto foods. And then that makes me, gain weight or whatever,
Yes.
have issues or flare ups too. So, but I did want to ask you, if you don't mind telling us, what was your heaviest weight and what are some of the reasons you think that you reached obesity in the first place? Could you share that with us?
Sure, no, absolutely. So it is really hard to kind of say what my heaviest was because once I saw my weight at one point in time, I was just disgusted with myself that I avoided the doctor. I took my scale and I put it in the closet out of like any existence, any eyesight, because I did not want to deal with it. So the moment that I saw that the scale was reading 309 pounds, I was shocked because just thinking 300 pounds, I thought to myself, there's no way. There's no way I'm 300 pounds. So then I ended up going to a local clinic and I just asked them. I went to an urgent care clinic and I said, can I just go on your scale? Because I'm sure, you guys have a scale that's fancy and calibrated all the time and gets serviced. Can I just go on your scale? I don't want an appointment or anything like that. I don't want to see the doctor. I said, I just want to go on your scale. When I tell you my scale at home was 309, when I tell you their scale ended up showing 312.
That's hard.
Yes.
That's
So
hard, and that backfired. Right, you were
I
hoping it would be a little less, but yeah.
I figured maybe something's wrong with my scale at home.
Yeah.
You're in
And
denial almost. Like you
you're
look
in
at yourself,
denial.
you hate what you're seeing, but then
You're
also at the same time,
hoping,
it's like,
yeah, you're hoping it's not correct
please,
because
I've
for
been
me,
there.
you almost feel like this body cannot be 312 pounds.
Yeah.
That's what you tell yourself, that there's just no way. And then you try to look in the mirror and convince yourself, no, this number's not right. I'm thinking of what 300 pounds must look like, and that just it can't be me. But no, to go and see 312 pounds. So that was the last time I ever dared going to a doctor's office. I did not weigh myself. And of course, I went into a whole spiral of why care anymore? Why care anymore? I tried so many different other ways all these like different fad ways of losing weight, none of it helped. So I told myself, why care anymore? So it's kind of like you almost kind of go through a mentality of you lose, that self-value. You lose the understanding of how you should self-love, self-care for yourself. Um, so I honestly don't know how much further than 312 pounds I had gotten. But even once I saw that 312 number, I definitely probably have put on 10, 15 pounds additional because of just the downward spiral that I went down of just kind of just giving up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you originally researched keto for the benefit of your son, and then you said
Mhm.
you did it as a whole family because
Yes.
obviously, yes, of course, you would do that to not
Right.
make him feel like the odd man out. But were you sound like the research queen here because you're very not only the internet research but the books and everything. So were you actually hoping at the same time that it was going to help you with your weight as well, or was it just I'm going to support my son and oh my gosh, I lost 100 pounds?
For me, I kind of figured, what do I have to lose? It's something I never tried before. And even throughout like a lot of my research, there was a lot of testimonies from adults. So I just said, you know what? I need it too. My husband definitely needed it. Here we had, our 2-year-old that he was just about to turn 2 actually at the end of that month. But it would have been good for him too because he was still on breast milk, but then again, he was going to start to eat more solids. And I said, why not? Let me just see what happens. If it's not going to be beneficial to any of us, we can kind of tweak and stuff like that. But from what I saw, everything was just real food. Everything was just whole foods. Um, so for me, it's kind of one of those things that I did not basically plan out personally any goals for myself
Okay.
because, of course, my complete focus was on our son, only because his seizures were so bad. Because there was times like he would have like 3 seizures in a week, and it was I don't want to kind of like frighten anyone in the chat or anything like that, but they were very bad, to the point where I kind of had to train myself on how to basically help him and save his life every single time he had those episodes, because it wasn't to the point where I can call for the ambulance every single time, because who wants to call for an ambulance 3 times a week? I mean, you can't use that much of a resource. So I had to kind of try to see if I was able to save his life in those moments. And then if we felt like we couldn't do that, we made the call. But it was a feeling of we had to put the full focus on him and have him have the support, have him have the reassurance that we were all doing it with him. And yeah, as you said, it was pretty much, wow, this is working for me. Wow, my body's changing.
So you're making me a little emotional. I feel like you're like putting out this like this is so scary. And this is all part of your story, and so I don't want you to feel like I don't want to scare people because
Yeah.
we want I'm sure that there maybe someone will come across this video and their child has seizures. And so
Hmm.
I'm wondering if you can share with us what I mean for a mother what a
Right.
seizure is like, when you felt like you needed to call the ambulance and when you didn't, and then how he's doing now after
Hmm.
you said it was just a month. So like what's that timeline like and how's he doing now?
So the episodes that he was getting, so he actually went through the seizures for a whole year from the first one that he had. And
So at 8 years old was his first one?
he was 8 when he had the
8.
first one. He
Wow,
was 8
okay.
years old, and it when I tell you it came out the blue, just kind of living just life. We literally, because I homeschool both kids, so every Friday we meet up with a local co-op group. So we literally had just had fun for the day with our local co-op group. At that time, we only had one vehicle, so it was kind of where I was dropping my husband off to work in the morning. We would go off to our co-op group. We would, pick him up in the afternoon. On my way to go pick up my husband, I start hearing like a choking noise. And at first, I'm thinking it's our youngest because our youngest, he was just a little bit over 1 year old. So you're thinking it's little one because little ones like to put things in their mouth. So here I'm thinking it's him. I glance up at the rear view, and because I still visually have the picture of my head of the way I saw him, I just start seeing our son shake. He started shaking. He had his tongue out and he was biting on his tongue. And he started changing color. Luckily, by that point in time, I was already off the highway because unfortunately, to get to my husband's job, you do have to take I-95 to and from his job. Luckily, I already exited off. Luckily, there was a gas station right there that I was able to swing into. When I tell you I've never stopped my vehicle so quickly that I literally stomped on the brake that the car jerked, just putting it in brake and putting it in park, that I jumped. My whole body jumped into the back seat. Even being 300 something plus pounds, I hauled at him. And first thing I'm thinking, I need to save his tongue. Because by that point in time, he had his teeth so clamped down on his tongue that it was to the point where like this child like would have lost his tongue if it stayed that way. When I tell you, I did everything I can because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I can't think about his jaw right now. Whatever will be with his jaw, let's worry about that later. I was prying his mouth open when I tell you. And at the same time, I'm trying to pry his mouth open while kind of glancing in the front to find out where is my phone. I'm the only one here. I can't expect a 1-year-old to call 911. That's the only person I have with me. Luckily, I was able to basically pry his mouth open enough, took the blankie from his brother, figured to myself, let me kind of like ball it up a little bit to kind of make it almost like a stick. So balled up the blankie and wedged it in his jaw just to kind of have just like space between his tongue and his teeth. I ended up calling 911 at that point. And they said, it's going to take a little bit for us to get to you. We see your location is close to the nearest hospital. You make that call. Are you able to drive? I said, listen, I will do what I got to do. So sure enough, hop back in the driver's seat, hauled it, didn't even care about the speed limit. I hauled it, put my blinkers on, and I hauled it to the nearest emergency room, and they took him back right away. He went through MRI, he went through CT scan, EKG. So imagine at 8 years old, he's going through all of this. Immediately did blood work. They did everything and anything and could not figure why he had a seizure at all. They transported him to a children's hospital that we have down south. They also couldn't figure out. They said that we will keep him for observation if need be, so we can find out if he has another episode. That way you're at least here if he should have another episode. But they couldn't figure out what happened. Especially with it being his first time, they said, we don't know. 8-year-old child, never had a seizure before, out the blue has a seizure, and otherwise he's healthy. They're like, we don't know. We're sorry, but we don't really have any answers for you. We left the hospital like that. That hospital was about a 50-minute drive from our house. We end up getting home. We ended up giving him something to eat because he had not eaten dinner, anything. So you can only imagine we got home, probably it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Sure enough, after not even an hour had passed, he went to bed because he knocked out immediately, because you can only imagine how exhausted this child was after all this testing throughout the whole entire night. I start hearing noises in his room. And I was going to sleep with him that night. But here, I just went to go use the restroom and I start hearing noises. I rushed to his room. Sure enough, he was having another seizure. Climb on top of him. So try to open up his jaw while my husband's calling 911. Here we go back to the hospital yet again. Go by ambulance, go to the hospital. There for a couple hours. Still couldn't find anything. They said at this point, you might want to see a pediatric neurologist. We don't have one here right now, but you might want to schedule to see one because we don't know exactly what's going on, but maybe it's something neurological that nobody can pinpoint here at the hospital because we are not neurologists. Yes, we can do brain scans and all of that. That's going to go to a radiologist, but your best bet is to see a neurologist, see if something's going on, brainwave or something. Maybe they can pinpoint it. We did that. I can't even tell you how many different specialists we saw from that point on, because once we saw the neurologist, they said, oh, maybe something gastrointestinal is going on. Oh, maybe something's going on with his nervous system. We saw every single specialist. When I tell you, nobody could figure anything out. And it was actually through the gastroenterologist that he says, oh, I have a medication I can put him on. I said, okay, but what does he have? Like, what are we trying to cure through the medication? And he said, well, we can try it. We can just try it out. But then when I see the prescription, I'm looking at it and I said, hold on a second. I said, you want him to take 3 tablets 3 times a day? And you can't tell me you want him to take 9 pills a day, but you cannot tell me why you're prescribing it. You can't tell me what is this medication normally used for that you're giving it to him. I'm not going to use my child like a guinea pig because already he's having these seizures. We don't know why he's having them. And then we're just going to throw a medication at him and see if it works. Yeah, no. So that's why at that point, I ended up doing the research to find out, if there was anything out there, even any like additional testing or, because I was at the point where I was willing to go see anybody. I was willing to travel anywhere to get him the help he needed because it got to be discouraging. It got to be overwhelming because when you have a child that's going through this 2 to 3 times a week, I felt horrible because I kept saying to myself, forget about the quality of life for the rest of us in the house. Where is this quality of life for this 8-year-old? Because that was the point where I had to start homeschooling him because I did not trust sending him to school and feeling like I was putting the trust in anyone to try to save my child. I didn't want to put that on anybody's shoulders. Like I didn't want to have to burden anybody. And then, if anything did end up happening to him, I did not want anyone to deal with me as a mother the way I would have felt. Because then it's like you want to blame, you want to have this anger, you want to have this rage if something happens to your child. And I didn't want to have to put anyone through dealing with me like that. So all in all, that's literally what he was going through. So to have that go away and to have that first 30 days and just for it to be gone, like literally, I felt like I had a different child. After going through that for a whole entire year, and then nothing. And it got to the point where I started sleeping in his room again because I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this could be working. There's no way. Sure enough, like this is going to cause something else. Maybe it's going to trigger something. But no, it works. And I have a lot of people that ask me, oh, did he eat a lot of candy? Oh, maybe it's candy he was eating. Maybe it was a lot of processed stuff you were having in the house. No, because I come from a very cultural background. So does my husband. So I'm Turkish and Indian. And then my husband, he's Jamaican and Indian. So we very much come from an upbringing, you cook at home. You don't really go out to eat. Even growing up, there was very rare times my parents got us what was considered outside food. We always cooked at home. That was very much engraved and instilled into us. So I can't even say that any candy or anything processed that I can pinpoint, oh, maybe it was dyes in the food or dyes in candy or any processed ingredient. I can't even say that. It was something just part of whatever it could have been, whatever carbohydrate it could have been out there that was affecting him. And it's kind of one of those things that we probably will never know, because to have a child going through that, now not going through it, you don't want to reintroduce anything. You don't want to test anything out. He's happy with what he's eating now. He doesn't feel deprived. And also with the quality of life he has, he doesn't want to go back either.
Right. I want to validate you and your experience, and I'm going to cry. I can't imagine going through that with my 8-year-old daughter.
It's a lot.
And I just feel like God gave you that child because God knew that you would fight for that child. And I'm just so proud of you. And I hope to be that mom. If something like that happens, it's
that's huge for you.
Don't tell me no.
It's huge for you to say that, because as I said, I had suffered from infertility. So my husband and myself, because I came from a very strict cultural upbringing. So you were basically kind of told as a woman, just simple necessities of how to care for yourself and hygiene-wise, how to maintain yourself. But there was not really, oh, let's take you to the gynecologist, go get checked out as a young girl. When your menstrual cycle starts, there was no, oh, let's take you so you can get that professional information. There was none of that. So I actually went to the gynecologist for my first appointment when my husband and myself initially had gotten married. So imagine 3 months into our marriage being told, your hormones are out of whack. That's flat out what they told me. Your hormones are completely out of whack. And we're just going to tell you from now, you cannot have any children. Do not even attempt, because if you were to attempt, you are basically putting that life in jeopardy, because you will not be able to carry a child full term. Because they told me that the way my hormones were, they were like, you would not fully be able to carry a pregnancy 9 months, is what they put into our heads. So having the 2 children we have, going through infertility like I did, because our oldest, he turned 15 the end of October. Our youngest, he's going to actually be turning 7 in 5 days. So you could see what the age difference, because we had tried when we first got married. I didn't care what the doctor said. I said, you know what? We're going to try. We are going to try. So we went to an infertility clinic. Tried with them. They felt, because when I ended up getting pregnant 2 years later, they felt like, oh, maybe, when we were checking out your fallopian tubes, maybe we cleared something out and you were able to get pregnant, because they could not give an explanation, because they didn't do anything. I didn't go through in vitro, or I didn't go through any of the infertility, processes they go through. We were simply just kind of going just for guidance at that point in time. And sure enough, we had gotten pregnant. When that oldest turned 2, we figured, let's try for more children. Tried, couldn't get pregnant. Went back to another infertility specialist. Still yet, had same issues. Gave that a try for 4 years. No luck. Found a new infertility clinic because we said, okay, we've tried with this place. Who knows if there's any guarantee that they helped us with the first pregnancy, because they sure can't help us 4 years in with the second pregnancy. So we gave up on them, went to a different infertility clinic, and tried 2 years with them. We promised each other, you know what, financially and emotionally, we are only going to invest 2 more years into this, because it would be a total of 6 years at that point, which is more than enough time to be trying. And nothing at all. It ended up being months later. So it's about like 6 to 7 months later, when we gave up with that second infertility clinic, that we ended up getting pregnant with our second. And then for anyone that does not follow my channel, come to find out, I'm actually pregnant with our third. So I actually just found out.
Yay!
I actually found
again.
out.
What's wrong?
Haley.
I
We love
found
you,
out a
Haley.
few days. It was actually a few days
Ah.
before my 1-year carnivore anniversary. And because of, being a woman that really kind of had to track her cycles, I really kept track of my cycles. And I knew right away, because I just told my husband, I said, listen, it has been a couple days that I have not, gotten my cycle yet. And he said, yeah, but it's just a couple of days. I said, no, trust me. At this point, I know my body. And I told him, I think you should go and get a test. So sure enough, he got one of the boxes that had 3 tests in it. The first one we did, funny enough, it did not show 2 lines. But the reason why I say funny enough is because the one line it did show only comes up if it is a positive result.
Oh.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, why is this line even there? Because this line would not be the single line for negative. So we waited till the next day, because we said, okay, let's only use the one test this day. Maybe the hormone's not strong enough this day. Let's wait until the morning. Sure enough, come the morning, both of the other tests turned out to be positive. My husband wanted to keep it a secret from me, but as soon as he turned around, his just eyes were full of tears. He's like, "You want me to tell you?" I'm like, "You told me already." Because once you blink, I'm like, you are gonna be just a face full of tears at this point. So it was nice, because, coming up to being only that few days away, because I found out December 30th. And of course, come January 1st, I would have hit my 1 year of carnivore. So when I say to everybody, definitely choose the journey that's going to work for you, whether it's keto, ketovore, carnivore, but really, truly, in so many ways, my body has proved to me that carnivore is truly what my body needed to heal.
Yeah.
Keto had worked for me. I will never bash keto. My family, 5 years later, is still on keto. But personally, for me, I had to make that change. I had to tell myself that, you know what? I started keto for our son, but I need to think about me. Because how am I going to continue to take care of anybody, including myself, if I don't truly take care of me? So it took me a lot. It took me a lot to really, truly come into terms with what self-care is, what self-love was. I really had to kind of get into that mentality because I did not think previously before that I deserved anything that I currently have today because I was in such a dark place. And I did go through mental health therapy. So that helped, but I still felt even going through that, you still feel a weight because through mental health therapy, yeah, they give you exercise as you go through. It's a form of venting. But then again, you still feel like you're still kind of carrying this baggage around. And I hear a lot of others mention it on Carnivore, but I literally felt like a little past my 90-day mark of Carnivore, I didn't feel the weight any longer of the mental strain that I was going through. Like the dark cloud that I felt like was weighing me down and followed me everywhere. So I can't really pinpoint exactly just what it is about Carnivore that just completely just took that away. But literally, I felt so much just relief. So just mentally and just like emotionally, it was huge for me. It was huge for me. Like it truly was what my body needed. And I'm pretty sure that's the main reason why infertility wise, things, a year in completely transformed itself. Because being somebody that, it took 2 years and then took almost like 7 years worth to conceive my two previous pregnancies. And then now in a year's time, here, we're going to be having our third. So it's all in all, it's just really shocking. That's why I tell everyone and anyone, if you feel like whatever you're on, whether it's keto, ketovore, and you don't feel like it is working, know that there is another way. And it's still part of the proper human diet. And you are not going to feel lonely on it because you're going to have so much company within this community that everyone had to make a little bit of tweaks here and there. And your carnivore does not have to look like everybody else. Because just like I said, I still incorporate single ingredient seasonings. I still eat chicken. And a lot of people will tell you, oh no, stay away from chicken. No, I love chicken thighs. On occasion, I love chicken wings. So make it your own. I mean,
Yeah.
that is definitely, through learning everything that I've gone through, you got to do what works for you. Because still, yeah, my body is showing me even the little bit of tweaks I had to do to make this my own journey, it still has work for me. It still allows for healing.
Write this down, you guys. You can't hate yourself to health. Say that to yourself in the mirror. I
Mhm.
can't hate myself to health. Like
Hmm.
Sana said, you have to love yourself to health. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
And that's a journey too, a separate journey that's really
it's
difficult,
huge. It's
but
huge.
it does
Yeah,
help
because
to have this community.
I tell a lot of people that I don't like, I've never had what some call like a slip up day or an off plan day because I'm just fearful of what that would do to my mentality. Because I always like to consider my mental health not 100% healed. I like to always consider myself a work in progress with it because I want to still continuously remind myself I need to work on my mental health. I need to continuously say positive affirmations to myself every day. I need to continue with all those little bits of everything that contributes to someone continuing positive mental health for themselves every single day. So that's why I would tell everybody I never consider myself 100% healed with it because then I feel like that's when the homework finishes. And I don't want the homework to finish. I have to continue that every single day because every single day, anyone that went through mental health, anyone that went through suicidal episodes like I went through, you have to consider every single day you wake up and you give yourself a fighting chance, you have to consider every single day as a victory. So for me, I have to make sure I label myself as a work in progress. But with that being said, mental health is huge. It is huge. You really have to really try hard to identify it because it is not easy to self-identify. So I would really say for everyone to do research. Do that for yourself. Do research of what it is to have poor mental health and see if anything you're coming across, if you're able to relate with it. And if you're able to relate with it, maybe you can self-diagnose yourself, but you have to be very truthful and you have to be very honest with yourself, which is not easy to do, which was not easy for me. Because I did not know. I did not feel like I needed help. I felt very much like what I was feeling was normal because I had a lot of self-pity. I had a lot of self-doubt in myself. So because I felt so negative about myself, you can't identify it. You can't because that really takes you having a little bit of ounce that you deserve help. But I would definitely encourage anyone if you feel like you just do not want to really have any care for yourself, that you have these feelings that you are not deserving. If you have these feelings that you're isolating yourself from others, you're isolating yourself from moments that you could have positivity for yourself, definitely try to get some help for sure. Because I really feel like that is the main reason why I'm able to keep on plan and not have any slip ups, not have any off plan, is because healing my mental health is truly what keeps me on track. And I think it's so important because I feel like once you have your mental health intact, you feel like a force that can't be reckoned with. You really
Yeah.
do.
I love
Sana,
that.
I was just gonna say, sorry.
No, you're
No, it's
good.
okay.
Sana, you obviously have shown us today that the proper human diet, or whichever way you decide to go, can truly save lives. It has. I feel like you have shown us the strength of a mother, and you've shown us the
No,
beauty
thank
and the
you.
sadness of somebody who has hit rock bottom and has risen. You are like a phoenix. And so
Oh,
the
thank you.
comments, as you're welcome, the comments that we have seen, everyone's like, I have tissues. We're so happy that you have shared your story. This, like, I think everyone's had some tears tonight, right?
Oh
So
yeah, I got teared up.
yeah, I would love to
Sana.
share your channel and encourage everybody to go support Sana, because if you've been touched by anything that she has said today, even just 1 ounce of it, you should know that you're going to be continued to be swept with her wisdom and her really well made videos, because she is real. She's not hiding things. She is telling you how she has changed her life and her family's life. And and I know we're all moms here, but every parent wants to know that their babies are safe and that their babies are going to be able to wake up and thrive. And that's your stories of his seizures and how you not only conquered it, but you're now thriving. It was absolutely amazing. So everyone, please go subscribe to Sana, Miss Perfectly Imperfect Keto, for more of Sana.
And she's like vlogging her pregnancy journey, which I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm loving.
Yay!
So please keep
Oh, I
doing
can't
that,
wait.
Sana.
No, thank you so much. Yes. And as you said, I'm just me. I'm just
Yep.
me. So
Mhm.
even, if anyone sees even like the meals I share, it's the simplicity. It might not be everything that everyone on, the carnivore spectrum or the carnivore community might exactly agree with, because they might be like, "Oh, blasphemy, you had seasoning."
we
I
don't
do
agree
what works
on
for me.
all of it. It's fine.
I do what works for
Bye.
me. So
Yeah,
even,
absolutely.
that's something I'm gonna encourage to everybody. Do not get triggered by anyone's food you're seeing, because you really truly have to experiment with yourself. You have to see what works for your own body. We are all unique for a reason, and you got to do really truly what works best for you and what works best for your body, and to make this way of eating sustainable for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you guys, I have a meeting at my son's school. Life happens. I'm so
Yes.
sorry. But I have to jet over there because it starts at 6:15 and it is 5:56, you guys, at my house.
Oh my gosh.
So Sana, love you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
your
much.
story. And I'm gonna let the ladies finish out the show, but we'll talk to you guys all soon.
Bye, Cristie.
Bye, Cristie.
Bye,
Be
everybody.
safe.
Bye. Have a good
Roar.
evening.
Okay, I had to get my roar in there. Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, this is super nerve-wracking. Like Christie's like the glue that holds us together. So if there are weird things that happen here on out, please ignore them.
I think we'll do just fine. Although
Yes.
Cristie is really great.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, you guys, thank you for being here with Sana. Sana, your story is just like mind-blowing. I was not expecting that. This was like, I'm just like a waterworks everywhere. And I'm so proud of you. I don't know you at all. And
Yeah.
I'm like so proud of you. And I can't wait to watch this pregnancy because we're done having kids, unfortunately, but I'm going to live vicariously through you.
No,
your
thank you.
carnivore
Because it's hard to
pregnancy.
believe, because even December 9th, I had just turned 40 as well.
Yes.
So for me, it's mind-blowing that I'm 40 and pregnant and 1 year into carnivore. So it's kind of like everything kind of came at me all at once with all the milestones. But everybody has been so great. Everyone has been just so supportive. And I did not have any second guesses that I was going to
Yeah.
share that news with everybody, because I shared it very early on with everyone that I was pregnant. Because I have trust and just faith, and I have just trust, and whatever will be, will be.
Yeah.
How could you not share after all you've
I
been through?
know.
Like those two little lines
Oh,
are just like. And have you heard how far along are you? Have you heard the baby's heartbeat and
So
everything
I
like that?
I did. I had a transvaginal ultrasound last week Friday. So I will find out actually come tomorrow, because I have to actually go through blood work tomorrow. So I'll find out my expected due date tomorrow, but they're thinking possibly 7 weeks and a couple days is what they're thinking. But they said it's kind
yay.
of hard to pinpoint. I know the ultrasound tech, she tried to kind of gauge through like the measuring and all that. And she said, oh, she's like, it's hard to tell because baby is very tiny. She's like, that's to be expected, because she said that, there's so many factors, like it being third pregnancy, also taking my age into consideration. She said sometimes in the beginning, things can measure on the small side. So I'll be able to share more news come tomorrow once I have that appointment.
Oh, yay. That's so exciting. Oh my
So
goodness.
they kind of just put a ballpark. They said possibly end of August, probably early September.
Oh,
That's so
wow.
amazing.
End of summer, baby. It'll be
Yes.
warm. It'll probably be warm
Yes,
outside.
it's super
That's
exciting.
so
I'm
good.
hoping more so for September, because my husband, he actually lost his grandmother the same time that I lost
Oh,
my father during the sea times. Uh, and his grandmother, she truly was like a mother for him, because he was raised by his grandmother. And I know that would be huge for him to have a child like in her birth month. It would just be
oh,
so touching for him. So I'm rooting
yeah.
for the September baby more than anything.
Oh, Deb said September is the best time to have a baby. So here we are putting
Oh,
all
very
the
cool.
September vibes.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Yes, we are definitely going to hope for September, especially with Deb confirming it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, we're
Oh, you
so happy for you, and that baby is going to be lucky. So, so
Yes.
lucky.
Yes, we are definitely super, super excited. Going from 4 to a party of 5, so definitely exciting.
Yay!
And we
It's
know
gonna
that they're going to
definitely
be
be.
so well taken care of in your home because you're doing the homeschooling, you're eating well, and you guys are just, I can tell because you sent me a family photo because you're going to be on my channel soon. And we're going to be talking about your keto and carnivore
Yes.
pregnancy and the family on Mother Knows Best. And I've seen the picture of them and just like such a beautiful family. So it was nice to see the story and the picture, which will be on the thumbnail, so everyone else will see it eventually. But just I'm so happy for you. Just eternally happy.
No, thank you so much. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. And everybody, the kind words in the chat, thank you so much because I was like a complete mess when I first found out. And then last Friday, when I couldn't really get exact information about the due date because the ultrasound tech was like, well, I can't give too much information, but baby's kind of measuring small. I can't really speak too much on it. So she kind of had me like a nervous wreck because here I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is my first, pregnancy, being carnivore. This is definitely different because I just hit 40. So it's
Yeah.
like all these, things that you're already thinking in your mind, and then having someone iffing and butting because of like the size of baby. But thankfully, baby's heartbeat was okay. She was very positive, thankfully, about that. So she did say baby's heartbeat was coming in strong. She said that, that sounds really good. So it's really kind of just to see what the doctor kind of had input about when it came to all the measurements and all the ultrasound scans and all of that. And I'll be able to get those results come tomorrow when I go for the blood work. So super excited for that because to have an actual official due date to be able to keep in mind, that'll definitely be exciting.
Oh my goodness. We are so excited for a new little tiny carnivore baby in the
Yeah,
family. We're gonna join the little family. A cub, guys. A little lion
Yes.
we're
cub.
super excited because we have 2 boys now. So to find out if we're going to have a trio of boys or to find out if we are
Ooh.
going to have a tiebreaker out of the household, we shall see.
Oh
So
Well,
yay.
that's also going to
everyone
be very exciting.
can find out. Make sure they're subscribed to your channel because they're gonna be going along this journey with you, and that's so exciting that you get to share that. We've been seeing in the comments, everyone's subscribing to you. Good. Everyone do it now.
Yes. And
Oh,
It's your
thank you
homework.
everyone's
so
so
much.
excited.
I
Oh, so
appreciate all the
exciting.
love. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So do
Well,
you
you
think we should
guys. Oh, go.
uh,
Oh, were you gonna
no
say it,
no
Ellie?
no
No,
I was
it's
gonna like lead into it. I was gonna go,
let's lead.
what do you think we should do?
So it is time for the roars, you guys. Put them in the comment or in the chat. You can roar, you can meow. What's the other? Purr. You can purr. That's
That
fine.
was good.
Oh,
Anything
No
okay.
else?
Okay.
wolfing. No
No,
wolfing.
no barking, no wolfing, please. Okay, are you guys ready? 3,
No.
2, 1. Yay! Hey, we got a couple. There's
Robin,
Oh,
yes,
she loves
Robin. Nia, yes, yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Ellie.
share with
Very
us. No,
cool.
you do it. You do it.
I'll do it. Mia, thank you. Deb.
Oh, there's all the words. I love that.
Yes, Susan and Gail.
Go, go.
Woo. Oh my gosh, you guys, they're coming in. They're coming
You
in.
see,
Oh,
this is
Kanya.
the way to have a community.
Debbie. Yes, we had the picanha roar. Arlene. Gail's coming in with a purr.
Oh, good.
We
Nice.
got a
We love
meow.
variety.
Renee.
And a roar from Susan. Awesome, you guys. Thank you. Oh, and Susie. Oh, and Jessica.
Yay.
Thanks, you guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this journey with Sana. I loved it. This was amazing and very life-giving. I feel like I'm inspired to just be a better person, to be a better mom, to be just more present in my mind and take care of my mental health. So all of you take
Yes.
note.
And
All
it
right.
did not come easy. Just never forget
Right.
you all are deserving.
Yes. I love that. I love that message. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, we will see you in our next one.
See you
We'll
next
see ya.
Tuesday.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great week.
Love.